I've got a particular pleasure to introduce Diana Johnson, who is both the local MP, but is also Under Secretary of State with responsibility for schools, and particularly relevant to us is special educational needs. So we're particularly pleased to have Diana here to open the event for us and to share with us the fact that she's a good friend of the AET and the work that that organisation is trying to achieve. So over to you, Diana.
Well, good morning, everybody. And much as I'd like to say welcome to Hull, we're actually in the East Riding, as I'm sure the majority of you know. So we're just outside the boundary of Hull. But I'm very pleased to be here, as has been said, as one of the local MPs, but also in my capacity as the Minister for Schools with responsibility for special educational needs. And I'd like to say, first of all, a big thank you to the Autism Education Trust for setting up these roadshow events. And the hard work and dedication to such an important area of work is truly admirable. And we're all here today because we want to ensure that children and young people with autism get the support that they need. The National Autistic Society reported last year that there are over 500,000 people in the United Kingdom with autism, yet it is still a condition that is misunderstood by a lot of people. And of course, there are common portrayals of the condition in the public consciousness, and I'm sure that for many people, Dustin Hoffman's role in The Rain Man is the epitome of an autistic person. But in reality, autism is a spectrum. It affects different individuals in different ways within the areas of communication, social understanding and behaviour. And it's vital that as soon as these characteristics can be identified, that individuals get the support and assistance that they need. And that's exactly what parents and carers in the United Kingdom who have autistic children want. Like the Autism Education Trust, I too have gone up and down the country meeting parents. And more often than not, parents who have a child with special educational needs or a disability are amongst the most passionate and involved in their child's education. But it's not always for the positive reasons that we would like. I've spoken to parents who find it hard to get their voices heard. They feel that there's no support in their school or community for their child, and they think their child doesn't have a place in the school. For any parent to feel like that is really unfortunate. But for a parent whose child requires support, a parent whose family might struggle to give the child that support at home, it's simply unacceptable. What I want to say today, and what I know the Autism Education Trust have been saying throughout their roadshows, is that we want to ensure support is given to those families with children that have special educational needs and disabilities. And this, of course, includes families that have autistic children and young people. We are taking measures to ensure that autistic children are supported at home, at school, and in the community. And it's these three areas that I just want to talk about today. So, support for parents at home. The difficulty that many parents have expressed is that when their child is diagnosed with autism, they find it hard to understand what it means for their child. We want to be able to help parents through this difficult time to help them support their autistic child. And that's what we're doing through the Early Support Programme. It's the government's programme to achieve better coordinated, family-focused services for young disabled children and their families. Through it, we have published an information booklet giving advice to parents of children who have recently been or are in the process of being diagnosed with autism. So far, over 80,000 copies of this booklet have been distributed to parents, and they continue to be a valuable resource and source of information. We've also awarded the National Autistic Society, one of the partners within the Autism Educational Trust, £200,000 over 3 years to expand provision of its HELP programme, providing parents with an overview of autistic spectrum disorders and strategies for improving communication with their child. But we also know that giving families the chance to take part in short breaks and spend time apart can have a very positive effect on disabled children and give their families a break from the caring responsibilities. Through our Aiming Higher for Disabled Children programme, we are investing £340 million in short breaks for families with disabled children. In the past, children with autism and their families would be amongst those who would wait longest for these short breaks. So we made sure that in our short break implementation guidance that a full service offer for short breaks should ensure that all children and young people on the autistic spectrum can access short breaks. These measures will allow parents to understand their child's condition more and hopefully make their home life more stable. Just turning to schools now, it's very important that we support children and pupils in school. We know that there are some great examples already of schools out there supporting children with special educational needs and disabilities. We are now taking steps to ensure that this is the norm and not the exception in our schools. We've worked closely with teachers and school staff to improve their knowledge and skills in working with children with SEN, including autism. In fact, the focus of the 2009 Inclusion Development Programme DVD and the online continuing professional development materials was on children with autism. We're also working with the Training and Development Agency, who have developed training resources on recognising and supporting children with autism for all teachers undergoing initial teacher training. But we know that some schools have a problem with students with autism being excluded from school more frequently than their peers, and we want to ensure that our schools don't give up on those children. That's why we announced in the Children's Plan that we would work with local authorities with good records of low permanent exclusions for children with SEN to identify the good practice. The findings from this work were recently published on the National Strategies website, and a user-friendly good practice guide will be available to all schools shortly. Finally, turning to support in the community, I've set out that we're strengthening parents' understanding and support for autism, and we're ensuring that those children get more support in school. But what we need to do now is to work with the wider services to ensure that families with autistic children are supported throughout their life in the community. A couple of weeks ago, a consultation closed on the 29th of January on draft statutory guidance for children's trust boards. It made specific reference to autism and how children and young people's plans might identify autism spectrum disorder needs in their area, involving parents and commissioning services to help identify the main issues that need to be addressed. Through our transition support programme, funded to £19 million, we are helping young people with special education, with special educational needs and disabilities through the very important transition stage between school and adulthood. And I'm delighted that we're working with the National Autistic Society on this very important step in autistic children's lives. Their Sybil Elgar School has been asked to demonstrate how to enable young people with autism to find a work placement supported with staff, which will be invaluable in preparing and assessing someone for employment. And of course, we are working closely with the Autism Education Trust to help autistic children more widely in the community. We've increased our financial support to the Trust this financial year to £580,000 so that it can work with local authorities, primary care trusts and the Department of Children's Schools and Family and the Department of Health in commissioning support programmes to improve the commissioning of services for children with autism. And I'm pleased to announce that we will be further increasing the Trust's funding to £630,000 in the coming financial year in recognition of the excellent work the Trust is doing. So in conclusion, I'd like to again thank everybody for coming along today. We know that if we want to give children with autism the very best start in life, we have to give them and their families the right support as soon as possible. And I know that by working with the Autism Education Trust, local authorities, schools and parents across the country, we can give those families the very best support that they need. So thank you for this very kind invitation to address you this morning in the very best part of the country, I have to say. And I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day and your roadshow here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Diana, for taking time out, and I hope Hull City stay up.